And what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Tiger My League podcast here at TigersMLReport.com. I am Rogelio Castillo. Alongside me is Brandon Day. Chris Brown should be with us shortly as he made another appearance, I believe, on the Days of War podcast yesterday. So if you want to check those out, he's been on the last couple or so. Shout out to Evan Petzold for making that happen.
Yeah.
But I also want to give a shout out to our friends over at the Screenshare and Chill podcast. It's a film critique and comedy show hosted by a friend of the show, Jamie, and her two co-hosts, Keith and Kelly. What started during the pandemic when they were forced each other to watch their favorite movies has turned into a weekly dive into film that's equal parts smart and hilarious. Segments include what if every character was a Muppet except one, breaking down the good, the bad, and the ugly of each movie, which I like to think I gave them credit, or they gave that segment from Motor City Metro podcast, and of course, simple thumbs up or thumbs down, made famous by Siskel and Ebert. New episodes drop every Wednesday, so check out Screen Share and Chill wherever you get your podcast, and that's all over on our thumbnail logo. Shout out to, and I'll put the link in the description as well. And JB over at Woodward Sports, he has a few shows going on himself. No Chill JB, Woodward Ringside, and Fast and Loose, which is a NASCAR show. And then we also have a new sponsor. It's a temporary sponsor from their friends over the Believe Network, and I will be doing that read at 30 minutes till. So that's a kind of little different format for people that are not used to it. So, but just wanted to pass that along. Brandon, how was your trip up north?
It was pretty good. Yeah, it was 2 trips up north. Yeah. This is the time to go. I've got a couple of teachers on staff, and then everybody else on staff pretty much has kids. So as soon as we get to Labor Day, they're a lot busier. So yeah, I always try to get out and go up north in August, and hopefully be back to cover everything once we get to September. So yeah. I went up to Treetops, played golf, was at Houghton Lake, did a kayak trip. Didn't go to the UP or anything too big, but yeah, just enjoying the absolutely wondrous Great Lakes state in August. And yeah, I don't know. I'll probably get back to the UP late September, early October. I love it up there once it starts getting cooler. And kind of, I'm a tourist, so I'm not complaining about tourists, but once the tourists are gone. So yeah, we'll probably get back up there. But yeah, it was nice to get away, paid attention to the Tigers, wrote about the Tigers, but didn't necessarily watch every game. Wasn't paying that much attention to the farm other than checking the box scores every night. So it was kind of a nice and well needed break after going like a bat out of hell since basically since the end of December when I start putting the prospect reports together for the new year. It's an absolute grind, and so yeah, it was good to get away, and I didn't miss a whole lot. So Tigers are just kind of cruising along. Nothing crazy going on, nothing too inspiring. We veer back and forth each night in the comments between absolute despair and there's no way this team could go anywhere to, I don't know, if this and this and this happens, everything could come together for them. So, it's just that point in the year where it's just all hope and fear, and there's not much time left. There's 25 games left in the season, and not a whole lot of time left to figure out some issues in the bullpen and the rotation. Probably not going to get figured out. We're just going to end up taking our chances. So yeah, just coming down to the wire, and it would be nice if the season was reversed and we were playing out of our minds now rather than in May. People would be feeling differently about it. But yeah, that's where we're at. They're not exactly storming the Bastille here at the end of the season to inspire everybody, I'm afraid.
Yeah, and that's where it's kind of like walk a kind of thin line there, because do you want them to be hot come the end of the year, where towards the teams have, if they have that first round bye, tend to not do so well in the playoffs, or do you want them to just roll along? Do you want them to have that hot start and then just putter into the playoffs and then surprise everybody? I mean, I'd rather have the latter, really, personally, because I think that you look at that 2006 Cardinals team. That Cardinals team was on paper not good at all,
Yeah.
and they found a way against a really good Mets team, which that '06 Mets team was a really good squad.
Yeah, for
And they
sure.
beat them in the NLCS. So I don't know. I find that it's almost similar to the March Madness and the NCAA tournament too. It's the team that gets hot at the right time.
Yeah. I mean, baseball long ago abandoned the idea of like the best team, wins the World Series. Like it's just not that way anymore when you have a huge tournament with multiple rounds. Those days are gone. So you just have to get in and see what happens. But yeah, I mean, I mean, I don't have a preference. You just want to get in the playoffs and see what happens. But I really would feel a lot better if the bullpen, the back of the bullpen, and the were looking better than they are. There's obviously a lot of issues. Finnegan's really solidified the back end of the pen with him, Best, and Melton. You feel pretty good about that, but they don't have a single starter other than Scooble that you feel that good about going through more than once through an order, especially against a good team. And they don't have a lefty. They don't really have squat as far as a lefty right now. Tyler Holton just continues to be home run prone. Otherwise, he's fine for 3 or 4 outings in a row, and then gives up another dinger and has a rough outing. So it's just not the same guy. And Drew Summers is kind of like Brant Herter light, and that's kind of all they got. So Montero being decent has been helpful, but they really need someone to step up, and I don't really know who it's going to be. You'd love to think Jack will get it together and put up a couple of good starts in the postseason, but he's just completely hit or miss like the rest of them. So yeah, it's just tough. Sawyer Gipton Long is going to start tomorrow. I'm glad to see him back. I would like to see Alex Lang back when he's eligible on, I think, the 6th, and just see if at least you've got some swing and miss stuff then. And yeah, you can just take your chances, but this is what they got, so they're gonna have to make it work as best they can. A lot of people were mad today, for leaving Summers in to face Lindor and Soto, but who do you really want to face Lindor and Soto? If you're not Finnegan, Best, or Melton, so they just don't have that much depth, and they don't have a lefty, and they kind of needed to see what Summers might do in a situation like that, and he did what he's done in most other situations, which is just be kind of like negligible and not giving up like huge damage, but just very hittable. So yeah, here we are. That's just how
Chris posted a really interesting stat about Summers getting robbed, right, Chris? So in terms of like his strike zone percentage.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's had 6 pitches that have landed in the zone that were called balls. Part of that could be his angle and his extension. Part of it could be he's just kind of wild in general. I think what we saw with Drew Summers, his numbers in Double-A were pretty outstanding, right? And they got slightly less good in Toledo, and he hasn't really looked all that dominant in the majors. And I think it's kind of a situation where they swung at balls in Double-A and they swung at fewer balls in Triple-A, and they're swinging at even fewer now. I mean, he got a ground ball from Juan Soto. It just happened to be hard and in the wrong spot. Sometimes that happens. That happens to Hannafy. That happened to Herter. Anytime people, I sound like Anne Frank.
I think you sound fine. I wasn't sure. Like, whispering in an attic somewhere, hiding from the Nazis. I'm not sure.
I don't know what.
I have you full blast.
Why does this happen every damn time?
You just sound a little quiet.
They can't hear me. All right. Well, let's switch various other microphone settings here. What better? Is that any better at all?
Oh yeah, that's much more forceful. There's a little verb on it, but yeah, it sounds it's a lot louder for sure.
Yeah. I promise, folks. After the year is over, we're going to upgrade our gear. The more money we can get, the better we can upgrade our gear. Trust us. It's not my board is starting to kind of go too, actually, because it's just been like the levels on it have been erratic. So I have to get a new board at some point. But, people are asking about going to fall ball. Well, I'd rather get new gear than go to fall ball. I mean, not really. I'd rather go to fall ball, but
long term, it's a better investment to buy the equipment. Yeah, Chris, I don't know. I think you sound fine. You sound a little bit like you're coming from Beach House's studio, but that's all right. I love that sound.
I don't get it. I don't know. We did the show last Thursday from the same. I think I had the settings the same, so I don't know what happened, but whatever.
Yeah. The question from Stando there, like why are they playing off the lines against Juan Soto? Yeah, I couldn't really tell you. I mean, I know why they're playing off the third base line, but I don't know why Torque isn't hugging the line at first base. Couldn't tell you. He wasn't. I'd have to look again. It didn't look like he was that far off, and he just kind of got beat on it. But yeah, that's a fair point. You don't want to give up a double there on a ground ball.
My guess. I mean, they don't. They're pretty thorough with their defensive positioning.
Sure.
I would guess that Juan Soto probably doesn't hit the ball right down the line very often. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that's true. But yeah,
It was, Sarah. You were right.
No, but today was an example of the offense would have. The Mets pitching, by the way, has been atrocious all the month of August, but their offense has been keeping them in like keeping them in the games, and so it was just going to be a matter of which team was going to just really take advantage of spotty pitching at first, and it was the Mets. I mean, Charlie Morton did not look sharp today; didn't have his curveballs going at all, and the Tigers were aggressive. Jahmai Jones, first pitch,
Yeah.
boom, gone. And you thought, here we go. The Tigers are going to be taking advantage of the Metropolitans, and it didn't happen that way. And so,
Well,
I
it
still
kind of
think,
did. I mean, we scored plenty of runs.
yeah,
But
well,
yeah.
yeah, but it's just, it was a matter of, the rest of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
When I last looked, and I have to take another look at now. I mean, if you score 8 runs, you hope to win, right? Giving up 10 runs, you're not going to win that often. But oddly enough, I was looking, and the Mets with runners in scoring position. I'm looking at it now. It was like, so the Tigers were 2 for 14 with runners in scoring position today, despite scoring 8 runs.
Yep.
And
Had a ton of guys on.
The Mets were 5 for 14.
Yep.
And
But the
one of
difference.
them was a grand slam. One of them was a 2-run triple, right?
Yep. That's the difference, Juan Soto. Yeah.
thank you for the $10 donation here.
Whitehead.
Off the Frickers building.
And so Whitey White has a big picture of AJ today. That's a good way to look at it. I mean, you might as well put Summers in situations, like I said, that we mentioned, that we put him in better.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is you have to use your guys. Like that's who he's got. So he's got to try to use them in the situations they're there to be used in. It's just we just have a couple guys in the bullpen at any given point who just aren't very good. Again, we feel pretty good about the back end now. Montero showed some things and looked okay. And again, like I hope Sawyer and Alex Lang come back into this thing and can contribute. But there's just not a lot. The Tigers are short at least one like dominant arm, and probably two. And it's a deeper lineup than quite a few teams. There isn't any team in the American League that particularly scares me, other than the Tigers. Like scaring me myself. But I mean, you look at the Mets, you look at the Dodgers, you look at the Phillies in the postseason, and they've just got more weapons. More big weapons. So
I don't know, Stan. I mean, Crown 2 means that you might be a fan, a super fan. I'm not really sure. I don't see it on our end here, so it might be a YouTube thing. So, what to tell you. But I like what Tim said here. Why am I tormented? We're in first place by a wide margin. We have a magic number. Just don't feel enthusiastic about the postseason. I think that most Tiger fans feel that same way.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Tiger fans also don't know how to enjoy this, really. I mean, I really don't think so. I mean, it's a team that's doing very well throughout the season, and we're finding things to bitch about, or fans are finding things to bitch about. For me, I'm trying to be as most logical, like, hey, everybody, let's calm down. Let's have a good time here. The Tigers are relevant. No, you can't use logic. What are you doing? And so,
well, and you're being soft. Raj. We got to win the whole thing, man. That's all that matters.
yeah.
And yeah, I mean, that's fine. People have that attitude about it, and I understand that attitude as well. I'm probably somewhere in between. If the Tigers were playing their best ball, or do play their best ball over the final week or two of the season, I'll feel a lot better about their chances. It's just that since basically mid-July, they went in the tank, then they played pretty well for a couple weeks, then got swept by the A's, beat the Royals. It's just been, it's been relatively uninspiring. And, it would really, I think, calm everybody's nerves if somebody got really hot at the plate. If, one of Jack or Casey or Charlie, if possible, could really get it going and put up a couple good starts down the stretch, we'd be feeling better. Again, like the AL doesn't really scare me. It's just, it is hard to see like yourself going up against the big boys in the National League this year and think they're going to be good. But baseball is baseball. And, a 7-game series is pretty much a crapshoot. Like the different odds between teams, once you actually get there, it's a difference of 1% or maybe 2% between teams. So, yeah.
I think.
I mean, you just want to win the bye. If they get the bye, I'm going to be happy because we're going to start out a little bit past, and we'll take our chances from there with the rest of the group.
To me, what was ugly about that Oakland series was just the defense and the pitching were awful for the most part, and that's kind of what we got today. There were some mistakes by Glaber and Ibanez, and but it doesn't feel as bad to me as that stretch right around the All-Star break when they stopped scoring and were pitching poorly. Like, and I think that's the strength of the Tigers is they're not necessarily an offensive juggernaut, but they come at you with like 8, 10 kind of average-ish hitters. um, I mean, look at like Jemai Jones and Andy Ibanez are like their ninth and 10th hitter.
Mm-hmm.
Those are bench bats, and they can come in and hurt you. And basically, Jake Rogers had a huge game against the Royals. Not that you expect that every time, but you would hope that in most games somebody's going to do something. If it's not Green and Torque and Carpenter, it's Winslow Perez or Dylan Dingler. Now maybe elite pitching is just going to shut everybody down, and that'll be the way it goes. But you just kind of hope that they're like scrappy and gritty, and you get. It'll be interesting to see how they do the pitching in the postseason. I almost think it's going to be kind of pitching chaos, but like in 3-inning chunks or 2-inning chunks, where it's just gonna. They've got 10 starting-ish pitchers and like 3 relievers, and let's figure out a way to do this. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what I've been describing it as too. Like you're just gonna send the other starters once through the order, and then try to push them as far as you can while having all hands on deck in the bullpen, and try to take a couple of games that way. And otherwise, you're going to be relying on Scooble and Finnegan and Vest at the back end to shut the thing down. And that's not a bad group. I mean, you look at the Blue Jays bullpen right now. They've blown a whole bunch of games lately.
Hoffman. Ugh.
Yeah, I mean the Astros have Abreu, and they are getting like Luis Garcia back. They're actually getting a little healthier. They've got Jordan back, although he hasn't really been hot yet. So if I was them, I might be feeling better that way. The Tigers just didn't. The other thing about the way the season played out is that we didn't end up having like a bunch of guys that you were going to call up late who might be impactful. Last year we did. This year, most of those guys have been injured. Howie Lee hasn't really torn it up. Malloy and Young have just been kind of like, holding pattern. And they don't want to push McGonigle for his bat. And so here we are. And they don't have like those guys like even like Jake Miller or Ty Madden or someone like that who maybe if they had been healthy this year could have at least turned into some kind of a workable reliever. We're kind of relying on Sawyer for that now, or maybe Urquidy, or maybe Paul Sewald gets it together and is healthy at the end of the year. But nobody. There's just nobody who's going to like really knock your socks off and come in and do the job. Troy Melton was the guy, and he's done reasonably well. But he's still having his growing pains too. So he's not really ready to just take over and be Mason Miller for us, unfortunately.
No, there was a stat that Chris put out earlier that is about Gary Carpenter, and this is where fans kind of expect like Gary Carpenter is the savior, if you will. But Chris puts Gary Carpenter somewhat unbelievable. He's now just 10 for his last 72, batting 139 with runners in scoring position this year with 21 RBIs, 3 walks, and 23 strikeouts. That ranks him 262 out of 263 hitters with at least 70 plate appearances with runners in scoring position this year. Yeah. Holy crap. That is terrible.
Yeah, but I mean, those are still, pretty small sample numbers too. Did he strike out a ton, or is he just, the ground balls aren't going through? I mean, I just pulled up like the Tigers WRC plus for the last 30 days, and we still have six regulars well over 100, like well over. And that's Carpenter, Torkelson, Perez, Keith, Green, and Dingler. All, like the lowest there is 114. McKinstry's at 94. Rogers is at 93. Jemai Jones at 131, only hitting lefties, of course. So, I mean, you do have that depth where it's like you do have, like Chris said, you've got like 8 like above average to good hitters that you can run out there. And a lot of teams don't have quite that much depth in the lineup. But yeah, I mean, we all know it's going to come down to the pitching. And this team is, in theory, built, to pitch. Like that's always been like the idea with the Tigers. And it just hasn't really come to pass this year.
No, and Baez has struggled a little bit at the plate. He's batting 233. Excuse me, over his last about 45 plate appearances or so. But then it's also at the same time. I mean, if you want to get more granular with it, I mean, it seems like he's still doing well defensively. He offers value in playing center field for what we would be getting from Meadows right now. So,
yeah, he's just kind of a lefty, he's just kind of a lefty masher now.
Yeah.
You know, he's not going to do a whole lot against most right-handers, but he can play the outfield for you. He can play center field, which has saved their bacon a whole lot this year. And then you figure you just move him and McKinstry as a platoon to shortstop when Meadows is back. Plug him into center field. Mix Wenzel in as a pinch hitter. And that's a pretty good roster. Like, they're not a great defensive team. The outfield is pretty average, I would say. Meadows would bump that up a bit. The infield is a little below average. Dingler's great. Rogers is really good behind the plate. So you've got strengths. They do run the bases pretty well. But yeah, I mean, if we're looking at just like the last few games, it's those errors. It's the mistakes, and the Tigers can't play through those mistakes. They just don't have like the big time weapons to overcome bad play. And maybe that was jet lag. They were out on the West Coast. They spent their off day stuck on a tarmac in the plane. Whatever. Okay. But they're just gonna have to be dialed in and get ramped up. And the thing is, like, I think if you watch the Tigers, like, they're still having a good time, and like the congeniality and like the vibe of that team still seems like pretty good. But it's not what it was last year, and it probably can't be, because that was just a freak run. Like, you may never see your team play that well from mid-August to the end of the year again.
Yeah.
So.
I have to mention one
I
other thing.
have to dig deep. You guys are veterans now. They've all been there. Like, figure it out.
Yeah, especially when AJ says, we played like shit. I mean, he swore. I mean, basically did not. I mean, that's something that he doesn't really do in the press very often. Off the record is a completely different story.
Yeah.
But he was just like, yeah. I mean, we played like shit, and he didn't make no bones about it. But by the way, Carpenter's batted 196 against lefties this year.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. With just 2 home runs against lefties this year. Thank you for Whitey Whitehead.
Whitey.
Thank you for the fight, Whitey. Thank you for the $5 there.
Gee, Whitey.
That ball is gone.
That Bill Burr sketch. Whitey trying to bring it back.
So his question was in regards to, is AJ saving Melton for the playoff starts? I think he's just above 100 innings for the year. Yeah, he's definitely saving for the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to start.
Not for starting, yeah.
Yeah, but maybe to go through the order once, twice per series, maybe 3 times per series for sure. Yeah. The thing about Melton is that the split hasn't really been there for him, and that's going to hurt him against left-handers and kind of limit, exactly how they're going to use him unless he gets that going. And he's kind of had that problem. Like, he's had bursts where the splitter looked better, and he was working over lefties a little bit more with it. But, at this point, it's pretty much fastball slider. He's not even dumping in some curveballs just to try it. He's pretty clearly in relief mode, I would say.
Yeah, it's interesting. You look at the bullpen, and I think, Finnegan has been so good, and I think he does what they've talked about. They love, he's got a splitter. Same with Montero. They love splitters because they are, theoretically at least, a platoon neutral.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it goes down. Does it go down and left or down and right? They have Hannafy there as kind of their guy to get righties out with a sinker and slider, and they'd love to have a lefty version.
Yeah.
I think, Herter ideally, but if he can come back. They're trying Summers to do that. Doesn't look like it's going to work. Gunther's on the IL, so they may be hurting for their lefty version of that. But if they have enough guys who are throwing splitters, or, as I said before, if they're folding in Sawyer, Gibson, Long, Urquidy, and these starters who have a full arsenal and have weapons to get, I don't know about weapons, but they have options to get guys out from both sides of the plate. We might see more of that in less, like I said, less one-inning relief appearances.
Sawyer does have a good changeup, so maybe that can help you in that regard at least. Yeah.
Yeah, especially if they're the I think the pitching chaos 2.0 or whatever we want to name this version of it is really kind of a I don't want to say teamer version. Is the essentially what they're trying to do is like going, all right, here's a scraps version of it. This year's version, Sean Gunther is it's going to be Drew Summers. It's just it's a cast. I mean, actually, I don't know, scraps. That's a bad example. You know what this is? It's the death of a salesman. It's a play that you know what's going to happen. You've seen it over and over again, or whatever.
It's in the title.
Yeah, it's in the title. Yeah, it's pitching chaos. It's just a new cast of characters every year, and you can literally just swap it out. and put it in there. And that's what they should patent that system. I mean, the one thing that stands out to me, and it is the work that they have done with some of the pitching with Kyle Finnegan, and then Chris was noticing the Tanner, the guy they picked up from the Pirates,
Rainey, yeah,
Tanner Rainey.
Yeah, I mean that's who knows if anything's going to happen. And Paul Sewald is coming back at some point, right? He's eligible to come back to September 10th. I imagine we'll see him starting to do some rehab appearances this week.
Yeah,
maybe in West Michigan, since they're the only ones who are playing at home. Maybe in Lakeland, I guess. But I was thinking West Michigan. But yeah, with Rainey, it's kind of fun because this organization got this reputation for maximizing pitchers, and we haven't seen quite as much of that this year as we did last year. It felt like, but it still happens. You can look at Tanner Rainey's stats, and he's a guy who had some success at the MLB level before. Had Tommy John, hasn't been the same since. But he was pitching for the Pirates. He was pitching in Indianapolis. You can look at his stats on Baseball Savant and then look at his stats since joining the Tigers, and the velocity's up. It's a mile per hour, but it's up. He touched 98 the other day, and his whiff rate is up by like 12%.
Yeah.
So they still know how to maximize these guys. It's just it doesn't always work. You can't. There's only so much you can do with Chris Paddock.
Yeah. And I think they've just been under more pressure. Like they haven't, they haven't had the time or quite the space. Last year it just didn't matter. So they could try whatever they wanted. Whereas here, I mean, Tanner Rainey looked really good to me the other day. But how many outings can you get him in the major leagues to convince yourself that he's going to be good in the postseason? It's just coming down to the wire. And I kind of thought August would be that crunch time. And Finnegan proved himself, and Montero's shown himself useful. But nobody else has really like seized the reins. And they've tried a bunch of different guys by now. There's been some weird like roster management too, in my opinion. Still, like it was still weird to let Coulon just walk. They got rid of Dietrich Enns, but now we're going to try, Drew Summers, who's a rookie and has never, really done anything. And then they optioned Alex Lang down, and now Alex Lang is stuck down there for another, 4 or 5 days too, when he's a guy who I would really like to see work with, with Fetter and Lund and try to get him dialed in. Because he's like the one guy who's like a legit weapon if they get him. And maybe Rainey fits the bill in that regard too. Troy Watson pitched kind of well. Do we want to try Troy Watson? We're just kind of running out of time to experiment. So the Tigers need to figure out what the hell they're doing and just lean into it. There's nothing else to do. And there isn't a lot of time to toy around with too many other guys at this point.
Yeah, I mean, look at Troy Watson. I did an article for our Patreon members, and just the amount of first pitch strikes he's done, and just the amount of the walk rate he's cut back. Yeah. And all these little things they've changed, and he was working with the Driveline. There was the same guys down in Oklahoma.
Tread?
Yeah, Tread.
Yeah.
And Tread, it's funny.
I think Oklahoma's pitching WRX or Pitching Works, and then Tread is in North Carolina.
Okay. Yeah, WCRX is definitely Oklahoma, because what they've got like Job and Owen Hall there and some others. Yeah.
And I broke down the data, and it was so much so that Troy Watson actually joined the Patreon. To find out, I read the article about it, but it was some of the data was interesting to me in terms of what they've been able to do down there. But you're right, Brandon. Here's the thing: all the experimentation of like PJ Pullen, and then you see, and it's doing really well in San Francisco. I think it's San Francisco. No, it's Gage, Matt Gage. Matt Gage is doing really well in San Francisco. Here's a premise: if you're going to try it, at least put it on the big league level. Then at that point, I mean, if you're going to delete guys, then and not to the roster, which speaking of which kind of goes into our sponsor. Delete Me, it makes it easy and quick and safe to remove your personal data online at a time when surveillance and data breaches are common enough to make everyone vulnerable, including the Tigers bullpen. So there you go. That is, delete me. Data brokers make profit off your data. Your data is your data is valuable, and just like the Tigers bullpen, that data, anyone on the web can make it your private details, and what the Tigers can do with the bullpen data is make it better. But in this case, this can lead to identity theft, phishing attempts, and harassment. But now you can protect your privacy. With Delete Me, your name, contact, and social security number, home address, and even your information about your family members can be compiled by data brokers and sold online. So the New York Times' Wirecard has made Delete Me their top pick for data removal services. So anybody that you know, including ourselves, I mean, we're active online all the time. We talk baseball. It's really important to us. If you've been a victim of this harassment, doxing, you probably know somebody else, and Delete Me can help. Take control of your data and keep it life private by signing up for Delete Me. Now a special discount for our listeners. Today get 20% off your Delete Me plan by texting HIT to 6400. The only way to get 20% off is to text HIT to 6400. The promo code's right there on the bottom. That is HIT to 64000. Message and data rates may apply. So check out our friends over at Delete Me. Keep yourself safe online from weirdos and stalkers and all that jazz. So
Delete some of the cost from that while using the promo code HIT.
yeah.
I wonder if they can handle my smishing attacks. Smishing.
Smishing.
Yeah,
What the hell's
it's
that?
something. I work for a company now, and it's all about data security. And smishing is like SMS phishing.
Yeah,
to
yeah.
Text to text. And my company sends. They'll send us at least once a month a fake email from somebody else, like in my company, like it'd be my manager, like, hey, here's a gift card for all the great work you've done. And if you click on it, they bust you. But if you hover over the link, it says do not click.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, our
That
IT,
sucks.
our IT department has tried a few things like that too, with somewhat rebellious results.
But
No one's gonna tell me what to click.
I click on what I want.
I will say,
Sorry about that.
no, it's weird that did that when you moved your headphones.
Yeah.
Just to get back a little bit of what losing out on these players that could be helpful. I think this is kind of what happens when your team gets better, the way in the way that Scott Harris likes to build everything, where he has everybody in Toledo useful and wants them to come help. At a certain point, you run out of spots. You run out of spots. They've got however many guys in the 60-day IL, and the alternative is cutting somebody who you consider kind of a prospect, like Tyler Madison, right? So you have to get rid of somebody, and they're always crossing their fingers that this guy is going to go through waivers, and I'm sure they would have loved to keep Ryan Kreidler. But they've raised the level of the organization to the point where other teams want their players, and that's just the way it's going to be. It's like what we saw in the Rule 5, right? They lost Workman and Hicks because they didn't protect them, and that's just the way. When the talent level rises, people steal your players, and it is unfortunate because Poulin was probably like their sixth lefty, and then Gunther got hurt, and Herter got hurt, and Summers is. Lockhart was hurt. I don't know if they would ever consider him or Nick Margevicius. But they lost out on some guys that they liked, and that's how it goes.
Yeah, and I mean to speak to the Scott Harris plan on that is what he's telling you is that the argument he's making to fans is that he's going to be right about those moves, like those small moves. He's going to hang on to these guys. He's not going to make the big move. He's not going to trade people away. So he's got to be right. And, we've seen plenty of examples where he hasn't been right. We've seen plenty of examples where he has. Finnegan might be the best pickup of the deadline on a cost per talent basis. But there were other things that went by the wayside that they needed that they didn't get. I'm not sitting here lamenting Dietrich Enns, but, since he went to Baltimore, we're only talking 14 innings. But what is that, like a 32.8% strikeout rate, 6% walk rate? A little bit home run vulnerable, but not bad, and he's old, theoretically more composed than, Drew Summers is going to be, and is that a big distinction? Maybe not, but those are the distinctions that they're arguing that they're going to make and be right about. So, I don't know. We'll see how that works out.
Yeah. Maybe you could also argue that they saw these guys in the first place and thought that they were, potentially useful, and then just made the mistake of letting them go, I guess, or
they didn't come along fast enough because there's only so much time to work with, with different guys. But
and with Enns, it was a tough one because he didn't have options, right? So it was, they brought him up. He pitched a couple of times and it looked okay at times, but not necessarily a guy like, oh, we got to keep him, and
right.
it just didn't work out. But
Well, Like
He's a
obviously the guy that they've kept and that they like the most out of the lefty group is Bailey Horn, right? I mean, you have to think that they like Bailey Horn the most and want that to work out, but it just isn't yet.
Yeah, and part of that might just because he has options, but
That's
yeah,
true.
that's a tough one because I think they really like his arm, but
Yeah.
it's just the strikes with him, and
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. We'll see. He seems like one of those guys who's just never quite gonna be there with the strike throwing.
Yeah, yeah. Because when he's on, it's a really good riding fastball. I mean, we all like that. Pretty good slider, but yeah, the command is. We're not the first team to have been like, hey, this Bailey Horn character has got some stuff. Hey, he's got a little moxie.
Yeah.
Maybe this could work, but it's not working.
Yeah, and that's where I think if you look at the state of Erie and Toledo right now, which we'll get to here in a second, as far as their starting pitching goes and their bullpen, it has been, you talk about, Gabe Alvarez has done, out of all the managers in the system, and outside of Tony Capicelli, Gabe Alvarez has been able to navigate a bullpen that has, I think that this is the most pitchers they've used in quite some time in the last 6 or 7 years in terms of down Toledo.
Yeah.
The fact he's going out there and going random right-handed guy or whatever the case is, it's beyond impressive. It really is, because he has been able to go out there and mix and match these guys all day long. I mean, he deserves a medal. I mean, seriously, for what he's done this year, comparatively speaking to the talent that, for example, Andrew Graham has had, as far as arms go. I know Sanchez is going to be out for the year, and Erie too. Erie's been just beat up all day long with just arm injuries after arm injuries. But
Yeah.
Gabe Alvarez, imagine them Harris going, all right, Gabe, we're going to go sign this guy. We're going to sign Bailey Horn again. All right, so he's going to bring him back. You know what? On second thought, though, you got to give PJ pulling some innings because he's on we're going to have to put him on the 40-man. So screw that and put him on. No. Sorry about that. No. Wait. We're going to sign this guy. We're going to sign this guy, and then we're going to give him high priority. No. You know what? Wait. Sorry. 3 hours later. Sorry. You know what? Scratch that whole thing, and we'll start all over. That's how I feel like. I mean, Gabe Alvarez's email box right now, or his text messages, are probably in the neighborhood of unread, like 3,000, just because of the amount.
Yeah, Gabe has kind of done like what AJ did last year at the major league level, but obviously it's easier. It's just easier for that reason. But yeah, I mean, what's the starting rotation of the Toledo Mud Hens? There's like, it's a rotating cast, and I mean, I guess right now, Watson is in there, and Margavicius is getting some starts, and it's not that they don't have starters, but it's just been complete improv theater for the last 3 months, and they've done a really nice job of it for sure.
Charles with the $10. Thank you again for that. Will AJ let Colt Keith play third base in the playoffs after the Sacramento adventures with the pop-ups?
I don't think he's going to have much choice.
Yeah.
Because Colt Keith is hitting, and they're going to have to deal with it. I mean, from everything I hear talking to A's fans, that stadium is producing weird results, and not just because it's a minor league park, but it's not as even as the average major league field is. The lighting is a little bit weird. There've been a lot of drops in the outfield. We saw the A's, look rather confused on a few too. I don't know. I mean, Colt Keith should be catching pop-ups, no argument. That second one, I think, Lawrence Butler got in Dingler's way, and it looked like that was Dingler's ball, but Colt still got to attack the ball, and instead he was looking to Dingler like, oh, you're going to, is it me? Oh, God.
1, 2, 3, not it.
Yeah. And Javi Baez with the glove, he is not, so.
Yeah, the Tigers aren't an elite defensive team. We talked about that earlier, but they're better than they looked in that stadium. Yeah. And I have to believe, McKinstry made 2-3 errors in that series. Like there's something funky going on there. It's an absolute disgrace that they're playing major league game. I can understand Tampa, right? Their stadium was destroyed by a hurricane. You play the closest stadium. This is just baseball and John
Fisher,
what's his name, being absolutely greedy and. Yeah.
John Fisher is the hurricane that killed the A's.
Yeah, to be playing in a Pacific Coast League stadium.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, Riley Green hit that ball 470 feet, partially because they're playing in Sacramento.
He didn't hit that thing 118 off the bat. It was like 107 or something. But, it just goes forever there. That was the longest home run I've seen from a Tiger, I think, ever.
Yeah, it was in the stats, at least, since young Mickey or before StatCast, right?
Yeah, or Cecil maybe, yeah.
Yeah, so it's just... I don't want to make excuses for Colt Keith, right? He knows he has to be better, and I think, I generally feel pretty comfortable with him over there. He's not Manny Machado or anything like that, right? But
The arm has been better than I expected, though.
Yeah.
He definitely has got some arm strength back over the last year.
And yeah, I think he'll you could trust him to make most of the routine plays, and that's basically all they want from their infield, I think. So
Yeah.
I think he'll be playing. It depends on the matchup, of course, but he'll be playing third in the playoffs for sure.
No, I will agree with Steve and what he said about the greed and the pride thing too. And look, the bottom line is too. Even their center fielder was it Butler?
Yeah.
Yeah, Butler. There was a ball he lost in the lights too. He was just like frustrated with, and so it wasn't just Tigers had problems defensively. Oakland, or sorry,
And Butler is good.
Yeah, I'm just gonna call him Oakland. I don't care. Screw it. The Athletics.
The homeless A's is what.
Yeah, the homeless. The homeless A's.
The Strays.
The Strays.
A's. Yeah.
You know what? And here's the thing with like. I think that the one thing is certain. He just played DH all 3 games in Casey, the J Hen treatment. That being said,
Who Keith did?
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. I mean, it depends on the matchup. Once Meadows comes back, that may move things around a little bit too.
I still think he plays a decent third. It's not. I don't think it's not like he's not been a terrible defender at third. He's been serviceable.
Yeah, I mean, serviceable. I can give him, and maybe he'll get better. I mean, that's the problem is that Colt has gotten jerked around quite a bit positionally the last few years, and he's not a gifted natural defender that you can just move everywhere and it's going to be fine. He needs an off season where he knows where he's going to play and can just work it, and I expect that he'll be better as a result. But for now, they need the bat, and they're going to play the roster as they've got it, and the only spot he can really fit in is third base right now. The 2 guys that they don't pinch hit for are, Green and Torkelson. So Tork's playing first base every day, and he's been a lot better at it this year. So
not to mention, we were talking about Keith possibly playing first this year. So I mean,
that was the idea.
He did earlier in the season. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of just thinking this is his second year in the big leagues. He played a little bit of second, a little bit of third in the minors. They've kind of moved him all over the place, and he's still outside of May has been one of their 4 or 5 best hitters for the season. So I give him a lot of credit for being able to do that. It's just it would be nice, I think, at some point for him to have a set position. But it's not going to happen this year. So we'll see what happens.
Nope.
So here's the farm moves for the week. As there's been a lot of activity, like we mentioned this earlier, as far as Carlos Mendoza took a ball to the face. So he had to hit the IL, and it was unfortunate. And so,
it was a grounder, not a pitch, but it bounced up and hit him right in the face.
Yeah.
Dylan Smith has started the comeback trail on the IL. Sanchez looked kind of just had some discomfort, left the game early, and was placed in the IL. So that didn't look good. His velocity was down when that happened. As we mentioned earlier, Parker Meadows on rehab. Rehab. He's on rehab right now in Toledo. Jack Goodman, Chris, what was behind that one? Was that because of?
No, he took a swing and grabbed his hamstring.
Yeah,
and he was like working it out, and he was getting all funky, and they were Rene Rivera came out there, and they talked to him, and then the trainer came out there, and she gave him what looked like a shot of 5-hour energy or something like that. He pounded it, and it stayed in the game and finished the at bat. I think he walked.
That's all.
And then they took him out the next inning and then put him on the IL the next day, retroactive to that day, and called up Juan Hernandez.
Yeah, I sprained my shoulder up north and just pounded a Celsius and
there you go.
Prayed to it. Put my shoulder against a white northern pine, and miraculously
he did a Mel Gibson Lethal Weapon. Every time he separated his shoulder, he would just go. Yeah, that's a. It surprisingly does not work. 5-hour energy or whiskey. There you go. Or Blue Chew. There you go.
It was something that
Blue Chew whiskey combo.
I don't think you want your Blue Chew there to stiffen up that hamstring. I think you want it.
Yeah, but it'll take the blood flow and the inflammation out, move it elsewhere. Anyway.
Jake Miller has also started his rehab assignment. Looked really good in Lakeland. We have that up on our YouTube. By the way, thank you for everybody. We've been putting up our YouTube shorts have been doing really well, and those will continue to go on. We've been also putting stuff on TikTok and Instagram. And so for those, I didn't realize, by the way, how much older people were on Instagram. It was a surprise to me. And so we got some feedback about that. So
Facebook is trying to spread everybody into their other entities, I think.
Yeah, they're meta platforms, if you will.
Yeah.
And then I keep liking the TikTok. Yeah, the TikTok. Yeah, there's gonna be more TikToks coming. It's just a matter of streamlining the process a little bit more. So what I'm planning on doing is we'll put a couple of clips together, and then off season wise, I got to figure that part out too. But the videos have been like just as soon as sometimes when Chris will put something up immediately, I'll just put it up on other channels, and it's been working out pretty well. So. There'll give me more narrations. We're doing one on the Whitecaps one right now this season. Emily is going to be doing some voiceover work for us because I felt like we have to capture that. And that 2021 Whitecaps team one is almost done. I'm almost done with that. But I've been writing, and like I said, other stuff is taking over priority at the moment. But probably hearing someone heading to Toledo, probably Drew Summers. So there we go. I like the way they end the show there, or the
Yeah, I mean, they're
farm
just waiting
move
till the
segment.
last second.
Yeah.
They've already announced that Gibson Long's starting tomorrow. Well, they
Right.
haven't announced the corresponding move. I don't know why they do that, but that's the way it is.
It's not too mysterious, I don't think. Yeah. Is Joe Miller going to come rescue us as the lefty visual? Help us, Joe. Okay,
Yeah.
probably not.
Yeah. So Toledo split the series with St. Paul this week as Edward Valencia still hitting the ball pretty well.
Yeah.
The rest of the offense, not so much. Kevin Newman, who, by the way, Brandon, were you completely caught off guard as the Tigers signed Kevin Newman?
Yeah. I'm sure at one point I thought, wait, that Kevin Newman? And yeah, it was. It sure was.
That's what happened. So Chris McCoskey texts me. He goes, "Is that Kevin Newman?" I'm like, "Yeah, it is that Kevin Newman." Because I tweeted out. I usually what I'll do is I retweet the lineup on Twitter, and I'll look at the card and I'll look close. I'm like, Kevin Newman. I'm like, when the hell did the Tigers sign him?
I didn't know he was still playing, to be honest.
Yeah, me neither.
It was off my radar entirely.
But McCoskey confirmed with Harris, who was at the ballpark that day, and there we go. So, but it wasn't put on any transition or transaction sheet or anything at that time. So, but yeah, Rainey, like we mentioned earlier, doing really well. His numbers are indicating that. Chase Lee's up with the team, although I'm not sure. Montero's numbers are down from last year a little bit. Maybe I'm not sure why Kyler Montero's not back up.
I don't know.
I think
he hasn't really pitched that well, has he?
No,
been kinda iffy.
it's a little Matt Manning-ish lately, where it's like I don't know what's going on. Like every time he pitches, it's just kind of ugly. He hasn't really had a strong outing. He may have had one or two peppered in there.
Yeah.
But the most interesting thing was his last outing. They only brought him in for one inning. They had Urquidy start. They had Sealander. I think Urquidy went 2 2/3. Sealander got one out, and then they brought in Montero for one inning, and then Gibson Long pitched the next 3. Mm-hmm. So it felt to me like, hey, they're getting Kiter ready for a bullpen role down the stretch, and that may be what they're doing anyway, and they're just going to keep him in Toledo to try a couple more one-inning stints before he comes up, as the replacement for Chase Lee in a week. I don't know, something like that, but we'll see what happens.
I mean, we've been looking for more of that, right? Like some obvious signs that various guys are getting converted. I kind of figured that would be what was going to happen with Sawyer, but now he's starting. I don't know. I'm having trouble figuring out, the plan, and it's making me feel like they don't have one for the last couple spots. Like they are still really kind of grasping right now. Because I would have thought, unless they were going to start Cater, it's like, well, why don't you just convert him to relief like in mid-July or once they sent him down and started and made that move that I don't know. It's been a little awkward this year. I feel like as far as those kind of decisions have gone.
I like what Steven said. He said, it feels like the Tigers have had about 5 pitchers in the Spider-Man meme.
Yeah, it does. That's exactly right. Yeah, and you would think, when they went out and got Chris Paddock, that maybe at that point you go, okay, Montero, you're kind of going to move to the bullpen here.
Yeah. Instead, they just kind of kept everybody doing what they were doing. Yeah.
Except for Melton, kind of. They brought Melton up. Yeah. They had him start a couple times, and they're like, okay, now bullpen. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. It doesn't. I don't know. I think you're right. I think they've got all these kind of ping pong balls up in the air, and there's no real plan for how to catch them and organize them. And they're hoping that they'll kind of work themselves out somehow.
Scott Harris puts a call in every day. Who wants it? Yeah. Who wants to play for the Tigers?
Yeah, it's like it's a game
of a postseason roster.
It's like a game of 500. They're just put the ball up in the air and see what happens.
Yeah.
Dead or alive.
No, but the offense for Toledo this week it was just the amount of strikeouts per game. It was ridiculous. I mean, 237. It was bad. It was really bad. But as Chris mentioned last week on the podcast, this is the time of year where the AAA pitchers are just like the bottom of the barrel. I mean, there's a few prospect call-ups. I know that the Mets have called up a few guys in there, here and there, sprinkled in there. But this is the time of year. Like, I just think a lot of those guys, there's 40 guys, like, let's just get this over with.
Because anybody who can really pitch is getting called up or is already up,
Right.
because the attrition is just taking so much of a toll for sure. And that's also what scares you a little bit about like some of the hitting performances. But I just keep looking at Eduardo Valencia and just thinking like, would we be better like using him as a pinch hitter than Jahan? I don't really know. Jahan, all they got to do is throw him breaking balls, and he'll put some balls in play, but he's probably not going to do a whole lot. Whereas Valencia is a little bit more balanced, like hits fastballs, hits off speed, handles lefties and righties to some degree. You don't really want him in there against like a good right-handed major league starter necessarily, but I don't know. That's another one where it's like that last spot on the roster. Like, we don't really have anybody who's really going to blow your mind. So you're kind of looking for someone who does something specific. And some people were making the argument for Akil Baddoo in my comments, and I was like, what are we going to do there? But at the same time, like for a guy who's just there to do one thing, I can't really argue too much with it. It's just that they're not gonna put him back. He's not on the 40 man as far as I know. So they're not going to put him back on there just to come in and steal bases. But someone like that who like has like a weapon that they could deploy might be helpful this time of year. But yeah, they just don't really have it. They just don't have like the guy. Young's done nothing this year. Really hasn't been very impressive. Malloy, will always hit AAA pitching and just live on base down there, but hasn't shown signs of leveling up and hitting harder, better stuff. So, and Howie Lee is fine. And I think we'll get a lot better next year, but he's very young and, hasn't torn the place apart. So
the reason
although he is killing lefties though, which made me think there was still a chance that they might call him up anyway.
And the reason why that Valencia is interesting to me is that he's never done this before. He's put together the best season he's ever has. In terms of power, he's almost catching up to Rosenio in terms of overall home runs.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that Valencia, his best year was 241.
Yeah.
Is remarkable. And that's and also split-wise against lefties and righties, he's hitting them around the same clip. It was lefties with less power, but he's hitting for average. So that, to me, is just that's the reason why I would be intrigued by Valencia, too. I mean, he could play first base. Catching wise, he's all right. He's a decent catcher, but it's just it just hits the point of we guys talked about this numerous times. Catchers have a funky development cycle. It's always like you don't give up on a catcher at all. But I think he's just turned 25 this year, and so it's a good thing to see the Tigers have with this.
Well, he missed so much time, like 21 and 22. Like that's when I remember him. And I didn't even pay him any attention, I admit, last year, hardly at all. Like, I knew he was still in the system, but that was about it. And then all of a sudden, here it comes. But, we could say the same thing about Dingler. The difference is that Dingler was always going to be an elite defensive catcher, and we all knew this. You could all see that coming, and it was just like, can he just hit enough to get there? And then last year, hit the hell out of the ball at AAA and has carried that through. And now where you're looking in, pretty good shape. You'd love to have a left-handed hitting catcher to pair with him, but, Jake is too good defensively, and Briseño and Lorenzo are still way too far away defensively to take over any of that job yet. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if there's a team out there that has like a lot of left-handers that are tough or something. Maybe you could put them on one of the postseason squads as like a last resort option or something like that. But again, it just kind of comes down to like there aren't really any obviously good options. It's just sort of like I'm trying to figure out what the Tigers are thinking, and I can't. They don't seem to know either yet. So I don't know. We've got a couple weeks left. Got to figure it out.
Yeah, and this is where again the rush about Kevin McGonigle. The Seawolves, by the way, win 6-0 this week against New Hampshire, but he has been rolling over the ball a lot, as we noticed here. And it was just a thing. I think it was a stretch where he was like 3 for 23, and people were like, "I don't care, bring him up." No, that doesn't make any sense. Look, the bottom line is that he needs reps at AA. It's as simple as that. And yes, does he hit well? Absolutely. Could he hit at this level? Sure. And you can make the case for it. I made a pros and cons, like a kind of a hypothetical article, and I mentioned the numbers are there, but at the same time, he needs regular reps. You just don't the tutelage of a veteran player. These Tigers don't have that much veteran experience as far as postseason goes. They're so relatively new to the whole thing as well. So I just don't think just throwing him up there and then what if he makes he gets off to a 0 for 15 start or something, and then that's not going to sit in his head over. I mean, come on, folks. It's just.
Yeah, I mean, I think if Kevin McGonigle was already like a solid average major league shortstop, I think he'd be up.
Yeah.
The problem is that the only thing you're really going to do with him right now is pinch hit for him and try to cover for him in the field until he gets more reps built up. He just hasn't played that much the last 2 years. He has had two semi-significant injuries and just hasn't. He just needs to play there a lot. And we all know he's already stretched at shortstop in the first place. So that's the problem. Like if I thought he was going to come up and just hit the living hell out of the baseball, I'd say yes. But I just assume there's going to be a month or two of adaptation required. I'm all ready for Kevin McGonigle starting out on opening day next year if he has a good camp and that's what they want to do. But probably still, I don't know that that's going to be at shortstop. So yeah, I just think we can probably put that to bed. Either way, it's not happening, right? Jeff Greenberg has explicitly said, and the Tigers never explicitly say anything, but they specifically said that isn't going to happen. So yeah, it just is what it is. We just don't have that extra horse down there that they're going to call up and ride. So
yeah, it is what it is. And like I said, I know he belongs at that level, but I just think that the more I thought about it, the more, and then going down this series and a couple weeks ago, it's the amount of times we rolled it over the first and second after that monumental home run. It was just, he was getting, they had the struggle against velocity. Go ahead, Chris.
No, they're just spamming him with curveballs and changeups now. Because he is just murder on fastballs. We've seen, he caught the one from what's his name?
Susanna.
Susanna. But yeah, also the home run, the 2-run homer he hit the other day was another fastball up and in.
Oh yeah.
He just yanked it right over the wall. So they're just pounding him with curveballs and they're landing him in the zone and he's kind of, instead of punching them the other way, which he's capable of doing, he's continuing to try to I think, drive the ball. And it's a lot of it is, we've seen, Riley Green really struggle with that for several years. You don't see it as much anymore, but for forever and ever, it was like Riley Green, he would go through these stretches where everything's a ground ball to second base or first base. It's just something that he's going to have to get better at as he gets older, and he will. Kevin McGonigle's a phenomenal hitter. He's going to be just fine down the road, but he's not quite ready. I don't think he's not going to come up to the big leagues and hit 8 home runs in a month.
Probably.
That's for AA.
Yeah. I think we there might be an argument that they should have started him at AA this year, but and if they had, he'd be at AAA already, and we'd probably have a little more concrete idea about exactly what it would look like. But that's water under the bridge, and it still doesn't really solve where do you play him and how does it work right now. So
yeah.
Meanwhile, Max Clark, ever since he shook out his hand and we all thought, oh God, he's got a hamate fracture, he's been kind of struggling a little bit. So it does seem like something's bugging him. But he's also had a great year and it's almost over. So this is all kind of the wind down time at this point.
It's like a carbon copy of what happened last year. It's wild.
Yeah.
It's he struggled for the first couple months of the year, a lot of weak contact the other way, same as last year. Picked it up, started launching the ball in the air to the pull field, got promoted, started off hot at the new level, and then the final 3 weeks of the season just kind of looked like he was tired again, and the balls weren't falling, and he did get robbed on a deep drive to the fence the other day. Yeah. Camera angles weren't great, but
lined out to shortstop, I think Saturday or Sunday on a really hard hit ball that the infielder made a nice jumping snare of, but yeah.
So. But yeah, I think it was a great year for him overall, and I don't think they'll send Max Clark to Arizona, but they may. I don't know. They sent Briseño and Lorenzo last year. Lorenzo played a full season. They sent him to the AFL anyway, so
I wouldn't mind seeing it from McGonigle. He's going to absolutely wreck shop at the plate, but just to get all those reps at shortstop would be good for him. Who else do you think? Like Callahan should be there, right?
Yeah, Callahan. I think Jake Miller, because Jake Miller's just getting back to being healthy again, go do a second tour because he was there last year.
Yeah.
I could see. Oh, go ahead, Chris.
No, you're good.
Oh, I was gonna say the other one I could also see probably maybe a guy like Gable Reyes, for example, because he started off kind of later in the year. Yeah.
They sent Castillo last year. So, yeah, I mean, I've got an article about that, in the works, almost it done. It's just projecting AFL guys. It's kind of a silly article because they'll just announce it a couple days later and be like, well, okay, whatever. But it is kind of fun to think about. And with AFL, it's guys who miss time. Sometimes it's prospects that they want to get exposed to a higher level of competition. Like, I don't know if, I guess Rainer Castillo missed a little time last year with his wisdom teeth or whatever, but they sent him out anyway just to see how it went.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's those guys who are, this is more of like an old Avila era thing, but they would send these guys out there who were like 40-man roster decisions.
Yeah.
Like back in the day, it was Jeff Thompson. I think they would sit out there like, and you're kind of partially seeing like, how's this going to play against the best possible competition, in the minors, / maybe somebody else sees them and likes them and we can work out a deal. So there's a small chance you could see like Trey Cruz and Valencia head out there because those are like 40-man roster decisions they have to make. But I think we might get Jaden Ham out there.
Yeah.
I think Jake Miller for sure. I think it'd be fun if they send Moises Rodriguez out there.
Oh yeah, that would be fun. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
He's got, he's got some innings under his belt, but yeah.
Personally, I kind of feel like Ham needs the off season. Like Ham needs to go like get in shape again, build himself back up. He's reminding me very much of Alex Faedo right now, and it's scaring me.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's
not just the short torso, long leg combo either, but the whole thing.
Yeah,
that's a kind of an unfortunate but true comp, I think.
By the way, West Michigan won the second half. They are the steamrolled against Great Lakes. Wasn't happy seeing their former colleague Lockhart Jr. there for two starts doing rehab. But it was a chippy series overall. The great play by Austin Murr, kind of leapfrogging, doing it almost looked like a logo. I made a logo on it I posted on Twitter. It was very, very cool looking, and congratulations to the Whitecaps for just, again, the champagne popping and all that stuff. It's not really going to get old, and they're steamrolling into the postseason. The Midwest League this year has not looked this. I mean, Great Lakes is probably the only team that seems like they've given them a serious challenge in the last month.
Yeah, and they lost all the top guys, like in July 10th, I think was right around when they called up Briseño, McGonigle, and Clark, and they haven't really missed a beat, which is a huge credit to Tony Cappuccilli and the whole staff out there and stuff. They just kind of kept rolling, and it's not like you really see like who is doing it. It's just getting it done every night. Isaac Pacheco. Want Itzhak Paredes. Pacheco's been good, but he's not like destroying the league. Murr's been pretty good. They just have like a lot of guys like doing okay. Peyton Graham's been pretty solid. But even after losing Stevenson, they haven't really like missed a beat, and he was still kind of the guy, sparking the whole thing for a while there. But yeah, pretty impressive. And they don't really have the good pitching prospect that we thought they'd had. Like just now they're starting to get some guys who are interesting again. But Rainer hasn't really pitched very well this year. They just got Elisalt not too long ago. So, it's been pretty impressive.
Elisalt's been interesting to watch because he's and you saw that the Great Lakes is a pretty patient team. Yeah. So both Elisalt and Preston Howie, those are guys who have no issues really throwing strikes usually. Mm-hmm. They both had pretty elevated walks in their starts. And part of it is, I think, Elisalt, the stuff still remains just a little light. And so he's pounding the strike zone, and they're fouling pitches off, and he just run the pitch count up, and he's trying to get him to chase just outside the zone, and it's not working. So he's still avoiding hard contact for the most part. It's just needs to hit the weight room. Yeah, get the velo up a little bit, get a little more velo on the breaking balls and the fastball, and then you're cooking with gas.
Yep.
Yeah. Speaking of cooking with gas, though, Chris the other day sent me a message. And it's and I was watching Lakeland here and there, and then Carlos Mercado. I was like, oh, look like Mercado's pitching. That's cool. So Chris sends me a message, and he's throwing 97. I was like, what the hell? What the hell? Where the hell that come from?
He's been out for months, hasn't he?
Yeah. He's pitched since like late
June,
maybe. Yeah.
Wow. Let's go find out.
He's a guy that he's been around forever. He was 18, I think, in Lakeland a couple of years ago. We're like, this is interesting. And he kind of took his lumps, and then he was in West Michigan last year.
Yeah,
and they sent him back this year. And you catch him on the right game, and it looks like he's got a plus changeup, or other times it looks like it's an above-average slider. It's just not always consistent. And the shape of the fastball is still kind of rough. It's still that dead zone fastball.
Yeah.
But I don't ever remember him throwing more than like 94. And
Yeah.
now he's sitting 95 and touching 97. I don't know if it's going to matter a ton. I think Will Kell can do the same thing, and it doesn't really matter. But it suddenly like perked my eye. I was like, huh, that's interesting because he's not a big dude.
Will
He's
Cole
like
with a
six
with a
six
good
one.
changeup might be interesting
Yeah.
though. Yeah, a little
So
more. Yeah, he
yeah,
hasn't pitched. He didn't pitch. Yeah, May 25th was the last outing until August. So yeah, he's just coming back.
oh yeah, it's who knows? Maybe he's just all amped up, or maybe he took the 3 months off and all he did was throw weighted balls.
Yeah, he is
So
only 22. So yeah,
it's mildly interesting to me. I think there's a little bit. He's kind of the same size as Kyler Montero. So and Montero eventually, when he first popped on the scene, he was like 90, 93, and he eventually was throwing harder. So maybe the same things happened there. But I don't know, just something an interesting development to me.
yep, yeah, me too.
Yeah, Whiska made his debut.
Oh yeah, wet whisker.
Well, Whiska,
Yeah, it didn't go, great, but I that's not a big deal to me. This is a JUCO kid coming on. Was he 20? And it wasn't like he was super wild or anything like that. He just the fastball placement wasn't great, but it was low A, so I could look at the pitch metrics, and you could instantly see like, okay, that's what they liked. It's like 20 inches of IVB regularly. The spin is super high for a fastball. He's got 3 or 4 other pitches. It's an interesting. His delivery is kind of reminiscent of Jackson Jobe, except the arm angle is higher, I think.
Yeah,
And it's it doesn't necessarily shock me because I think he's one of those guys who's training there at Pitch WRX or whatever. Like, so maybe they teach that delivery. I don't know, but yeah, like he was a guy that was completely off the radar to all the drafting services. Like MLB Pipeline had no idea who he was, and Baseball America had no idea who he was, and then the Tigers gave him. I was like, okay, this is a cash saving deal, and then they gave him like $400,000 over slot.
yeah,
Like, what's going on here? And then I watch him. I go, okay, I see it.
yep. There it is.
yeah, and he looked pretty solid. All things considering, that was like you would never known. It was a JUCO kid, and Lakeland. By the way, they're also in the playoffs. They have a chance to clinch both halves too, I believe, this week. So. That's a good opportunity there. And Lakeland, same thing. They've missed a couple guys, but they keep going along pretty well. Warwick, by the way, was named Florida Complex League All-Star, I believe it was.
Yeah.
I think
Was Osorio as well? I think.
Yep, as
Yep.
third base, and then Salcedo.
Yeah.
This was I didn't finish these. I finished the offensive ones. I didn't finish the pitching one.
Okay.
But it was just throwing up some top tens for August, just to keep track of who's doing what in the month.
So this is awesome, by the way. If you're a Patreon member, a paid Patreon member, you'll be getting this both the pitching and offensive top tens this month after the podcast is over. So there's a reason why to join. But, by the way, it's funny when we're starting to see parents. I think we saw somebody's Sloan's parents join. Yeah. So
Nice.
yeah.
We haven't talked a ton about Ethan Sloan. But,
Yeah.
but, maybe
I think Jerry did an article on Ethan Sloan recently.
Okay.
Yeah. So
maybe that'll do it. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, there's we'll be randomly giving away more shirts as time goes on here. Once I get back on my feet a little bit, financially speaking, there'll be a random shirt or two. Like Lisa, who is a listener all the way in, I think is in Southern Ohio, has been a listener. She's a big fan of Jose Rasueño. I sent her a shirt, a sticker as a thank you for being a loyal Patreon member. So anyway, but yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Oh no. I was just gonna say I do think we might want to touch on Kelvis Salcedo real quick.
Oh yes, please do.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Because I mean, he's a guy. He's going to show up on the pitching list quite a bit. Where is it down there? Yeah, 5 innings, 2 hits, no runs, no walks, 7 strikeouts. Opponents are hitting 135 against him this year.
Yeah.
It's kind of wild. He's 19, and he's a big boy, and he looks like a reliever kind of. Sometimes the delivery looks like he's about to fall over, but he's throwing tons of strikes. They're not doing anything against him. The fastball sitting like 95, 96. He can go up to like 98, 99 when he needs it. He doesn't do it a ton. He's got a split. the slider and cutter. He's really interesting. He's a guy who probably should be sneaking into top 20s in the system.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I don't know that you want to put a 45 on him yet, but he's like kind of creeping up onto the watch list, like yeah, like this guy could break out next year. Yeah, high spin cutter. Like he spins the ball, he's got the ride. Yeah, he's only 6 feet, I think. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So he's not really like a big guy in terms of like stature, and probably does need to get into better shape and stuff. But yeah, pretty impressive velocity, pretty sustainable. It looks like, and yeah, pounding the zone pretty well.
Yeah, and somebody was asking about his reliever risk already, and wait, let's just see what happens.
Yeah,
That's what we say. We always point to what makes you look like a reliever, and it's the delivery, it's the strikes, and it's the arsenal. He's got the arsenal and the strikes of a starter so far. Maybe at higher levels, the command won't be there, but he's throwing plenty of strikes right now. The delivery is a little relieverish.
yeah,
But, he reminds me, back in the day, the Astros had a top 100 prospect who was kind of the same build with kind of the same stuff. And James Chipman absolutely loved him. He put a huge grade on him. And then it's Francis Martes. I don't know if anybody remembers him.
Yeah.
yep.
And then he got popped for PEDs, I think, and got hurt and never really found it again. But he was a top 100 prospect looking very similar to Salcedo. So who knows in a year or two.
Yep.
As far as this question goes about Chris Rodriguez turning 18 in January, being an FSL, it depends if they deem him ready. I mean, I see him has another year in DSL because that transition's such a tough one, especially if it depends on he's ready to go to the States or not. In terms of like, it could be an emotional thing, it could be like just language thing. It could be a lot of different things when it comes to that.
Yeah.
I think they'll bring him to the complex league. What you saw from him this year was kind of ridiculous power for a kid his age, and he still hit 300, I think, despite swinging at a lot of things. And maybe they want to keep him into the SL to work on the plate discipline, but it's one of those things where they may feel like it's better for him to come here and get slightly better pitching and struggle. To understand that he has to improve the plate discipline a little bit rather than, I imagine if he went to the DSL again next year, it's going to be absurd. He'd probably hit 16 home runs. And I think, they bring the big name guys for the most part. We saw they brought Jose Dixon this year and Jesus Pinto, who's looked really intriguing and is kind of a guy that I think people should know more about or should just keep the name in the back of their head, just based on the fact that he missed most of the FCL season, and they just brought him right to Lakeland, and he was batting third in the first game, and he's playing center field, and he's showing some speed. He's hitting the ball kind of hard. He's really intriguing. So I think
they clearly
will come up.
Clearly like him. Yeah, and Rodriguez will be 18 like in January. So if you bring him up, like in the spring, like give him some time to be acclimated and work into it. He doesn't necessarily have to play the whole FCL, calendar, and they can just kind of evaluate him from there. Yeah, seems like a decent bet that we'd see him. Yeah.
The only reason why I'm always kind of like leaning on the conservative side of things with that is because of that adjustment to going to the States.
Yeah.
Some guys are ready, some guys are not.
Yeah, it's just hard to know about him because we haven't had a chance to like spend time with him and talk to him or anything. Yeah, there's definitely some questions there. There's a lot of things like that, like it's like for me with lefties at high A, like I'm just always like suspicious of any lefty. They're all relievers to me until they get to double A. I'm starting to change my tune on Sears a little bit. He might convince me.
No, seriously, I'm telling you, man, like he might be one of the better starters I've seen all season in terms of just throwing strikes in the zone. I really believe that. Like
he has been. I agree with that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Especially with that changeup. Like the start I saw him live in Erie was like, all right, this will play. And I wish Chris was there. I mean, there was one of those things where I'm like, I know Chris would have been like, because the last time he saw Sears live, he was terrible.
I was all excited to see Sears live this year. I think it was first or second week of the season against South Bend, and he gave up like 2 home runs in the first inning on sweepers that just were on a tee. That's like the only time I've got a chance to see him live. I think that the changeup. You were telling me about it, and then I watched it start, and it was like, that's an important development for him because I think, the fastball is kind of average-ish, but with the angle, and he can get it up to 95, 96 at times, and I think that'll play. And the sweeper, when he's locating it, is a pretty darn good pitch, but he's going to need that changeup because righties will just kind of like I said, if you leave the sweeper over the heart of the zone, right, he's going to crush it, and some of them are going to start seeing it and not swing at it. So, yeah, the changeup is nice to see.
Yeah. It's one of those things where I just think because if you're throwing in the zone like that, that's that to me is a good thing, and with confidence too, and be able to go ahead and top of zone, bottom of the zone. It's a good sign of things to come. So, Nestor Moreta go to the FCL next year. More likely.
I think it's possible. He's another big power guy. He's got a funky batting stance where he has it's like a Julio Franco hands above his head with the bat pointed backward. But he's got a lot of power too. Mm-hmm. He's third baseman, first baseman. I could see him coming. I don't think they'll have him in DSL for a third season.
Yeah,
he was there last year, right? Or so. But you never know. Like Christian Perez was a guy that they liked a couple years ago, and he's spent his third year there. And I don't know. I don't think it's happening for him. But generally speaking, I think we see these guys come up in the first 2 years. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. I mean, I like the fact they're getting more aggressive with these guys, though. They're not sticking around. But again, I don't know. It's just always, like I said, are they emotionally there can do that? Can they handle the whole adjustment? We'll see what happens. So,
yeah.
But a lot of good developments, and again, Lakeland has a chance to clinch both to join West Michigan in terms of clinching both the first half and the second half of dominance. So, as far as do you think Scott? Last two questions tonight, and we're going to call it a night. Kevin says, does Scott Harris have had any interest in Walker Buehler when he got released? I don't think. I think they were so busy with their own experimentation that I don't think if I like to think they did, but then it was just like, well, what are we going to do with this guy? And I bet you somebody in the front office is like, no, guys, Jay Sartori's leaving the SEC next year or ACC next year. We got enough problems right now. So, all jokes aside, but yeah.
I just don't think there's enough there with Buehler right now that it looks like a quick fix. I mean, it was always like, really, really good fastball. And it's like 2 grades down now. If it was a 65, almost a 70 when he was throwing 98, now he's more like 94. He's having to use his sinker and try to mix that in. And, off that stuff, the breaking ball isn't as effective as it used to be either. So, I mean, I'm not saying Buehler is done, but it's a pretty long-term project. So he just doesn't look like the kind of guy that you're going to salvage and make a few tweaks with, and he was going to really impact you one way or the other. He's not going to start. He doesn't look that much like a particularly great relief option. I might have been more interested in trying Tim Meza, but he didn't get to the Tigers. Well, Dombrowski was out there snatching up every bit of possible help left.
Yeah, and with Buehler, it's he's I don't think he was on waivers, right? He was just kind of released.
Yeah, he was released.
So it's up to him. He gets to pick where he. If multiple teams, that Scott Harris might have wanted him, and he might have just wanted to go to Philly because he looked at them and thought it was a better situation. Yeah. You don't know. But when you look at it, it's just like he's putting up like Mike Pelfrey strikeout and walk numbers right now. It's not great.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's one of those things. Guys have names, and the names live on. Yeah. People will still ask about Trevor Bauer.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Time is past. Time comes for us all.
Yeah. Eventually, it's just a wrap for you. That's how it is.
Yeah. What we really want now is we really want the Giants to cut Justin Verlander.
Yeah, I know. It's really unfortunate. Like at the deadline now, it's like like Morton or Verlander, and now it's like I wish both and no Paddock.
Yeah.
But yeah. I don't know. I bet the Tigers never even checked in. I bet, Scott Harris is just fearful of the drama if things go bad, in that circumstance. I don't know. But it'd be fun to have JV right now. That's for sure. I'd feel a lot better about things, or at least somewhat better.
Yeah, he's kind of going wild these last month or so. It's been
120 pitches. Yeah, 120 pitches yesterday, man.
Yeah,
that's old school right there. That's so 2013.
Yeah.
So the Braves grabbed Hassan Kim, I believe.
Yeah, off waivers. Yeah, so he was never going to get to us. That would have been an interesting addition. So people asked about Isaiah Kiner-Falefa just as a defensive option or something to put in late innings, but he wasn't going to get to us anyway. But nah,
he almost did. He got to the Blue Jays, right?
That's true. I guess he did get close.
But he went back to Toronto.
Yeah, Well, and I looked at that. I'm like, well, maybe. And you look at his splits, and he's got like career kind of average. Like he's not the sort of guy that you want to. The defensive versatility is great, but he's not the sort of like lefty masher that you want him to be.
So the Giants couldn't. Andrew Haney could have been our lefty.
I don't know. I didn't see where did he land anywhere.
He the Dodgers. He signed. He's with the Dodgers AAA. I don't believe that. I'm sorry. I don't.
I mean, I'm not worried about that part, but I do wish they had gone and just picked up a cheap left-handed starter.
Yeah.
I mean, that would have been the move. I mean, okay, maybe not like Kyle Freeland, but but even Kyle Freeland, you get him out of Colorado.
Yeah.
He doesn't strike out many guys. He's a contact guy too, but at least he's going to throw strikes. You just put him in there, throw strikes. You're in a better pitching environment with a better team. Same thing as Finnegan.
I just don't think Dodgers might transform Haney into a guy. I don't know, but I don't think he's.
He's been there, but he was there before, and Haney always kind of felt like Matt Boyd to me, or I thought they could do things with him that they were trying with Matt Boyd, but clearly Matt Boyd has surpassed him.
He has finally figured it out. Yeah, I'm happy for the Boyd. I know. Like, how many times did Scott Harris sign Matt Boyd in the wrong season? Or the Tigers in general.
I
finally got it.
I thought maybe the Angels would cut Tyler Anderson. I don't know if there's any intrigue there. I mean, that would be a kind of an innings-eating left-handed starter, but
yeah, and you just don't know if there would be any rumors of people the Tigers like talk to that nothing came of. Like, you just never hear. They're just not leaky that way, at least. And so who knows if they even inquired at like a Caleb Ferguson or something like that too. I don't know. Yeah. Didn't seem like they thought they needed a lefty, and I don't exactly understand why that is, because I don't see a lefty. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe Tommy Kahnle comes back. He's looked okay the last few outings.
He has been better.
He would be a nice, not a lefty starter, but another kind of platoon neutral bullpen arm.
Yeah.
Should we give him 3 or 4?
By the way,
and if people are wondering like why the hell did they stick with Tommy, that's probably the reason, is because they need someone who can handle some left-handers.
By the way, the Padres just might have lost Jason Adam for the season. He got carted off the field. He collapsed with a left leg injury.
Oh, that doesn't sound.
It just sounded like he went off the mound after a pitch and just collapsed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he couldn't put any pressure on it. So, that's it's another team to consider. But as far as Verlander goes, the Giants still can't cut him, can they?
No, it's too late now.
Yeah, it's too late.
You can't put him on. September.
You can't add him to the postseason roster no matter what.
Yeah. So
aren't there ways around that though? I think there are always ways around it.
There probably are. I mean, they could probably petition for that. Oh no! You know what he did? Oh my God! It just looks like he hyperextended his left leg JV style to such a degree that he shattered something.
Yeah, Brandon, that looked painful. I mean, that was like that's why I cringed. I was like looking, like I looked away for a second on the screen. I'm like, oh my God, like ugh.
Oh, that's bad. Bogarts his season's over. Tatis is hurt. Merrill's still out.
Yeah.
He's still kind of struggling. They try so hard. You try so hard, San Diego. It just never works out, babe. I'm sorry.
Somewhere Edgy Preller's just like taking another shot. It's like, damn it.
Yeah.
Bitch.
Maybe
I shouldn't have traded Leody DeVries.
Now's the time to move Mason Miller to the starting rotation.
Yeah.
Now's the time.
I would agree with you. Bill Schrader or Sid Maj would come out of nowhere. It'll be fine. But so on that note, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for watching us on YouTube. If you were a regular watcher, thank you for listening to us on podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts, on Spotify, iTunes, or Apple Podcasts. And don't forget to check out our friends over at Screen Chill. Let me try that again because I am bad at reading material. There's a couple things you could do for us. First and foremost, subscribe to our YouTube channel if you have not already. Subscribe to us on Facebook, or if you're on TikTok, we have a TikTok out there. And so you can do that. Screenshare and Chill podcast with my friend Jamie, Keith, and Kelly. So you can check them out if you're looking for some pop culture entertainment, of course. And our friends over at Delete Me. Again, this is a place that will help you keep your data safe. So we have a promo code. So if you text HIT to 6400, text that code, you'll get 20% off your Delete Me plan. So there you go. Stay classy, everybody. We'll see you on Thursday for more See Metrics. We have softball playoffs on Thursday, and this is a team we're 0-3 against in the playoffs lifetime. and it's and I'll just say this: I want to win this game so bad. I'm sick of them. They are in my head. They are a team that will go out of their way to say we were. I actually called out the team captain a couple weeks ago. I asked her, I'm like, why are you saying we're cheating? Well, and I called her out. I'm like, this is fun. This is ridiculous. And you guys find ways to do this all the time. This is the same team that 3 years ago brought somebody off the street. And I will never forget it. I will never forget it. So
the old ringer. Yeah.
So but otherwise, we'll see you Thursday. Have a good week, everybody. The Tigers continue their 3-game series against the Mets, and then they are who's after the Mets? I'm drawing a blank on something.
Marlins?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, the Marlins are coming to town. So a reunion of sorts. Dane Myers and Hill. Yeah, Derek Hill is going to be in town.
No, it's the White Sox. Sorry.
White Sox. Okay. That's right. Yeah, I'll be on tomorrow with Crystal. Crystal, the White Sox podcast.
Oh, right on.
So Marlins are next weekend, right?
Yeah, and then it's the White Sox, and they go to the Yankees, and then to the Marlins.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So keep it close, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye, guys.